We're back live here at Reinforce. I'm Am Grabelny. I'm one of your hosts here today. We're bringing you all the security content you can handle. I'm developer advocate here for AWS Game Day, joined by
Jasmine Kyles. I'm back here again at Inforce. What? And I'm a product manager here at AWS. And we are joined today by one of our AWS partners, Trellix. Who do we have?
Hi, I'm Martin Holste. I'm the CTO of Cloud.
All right, Martin, we're going to be talking all about, it seems like, some data, which is really, really important in assessing security threats, right? You can't really do much with security if you have no information,
I mean,
no
you can make
data.
guesses.
You could, yeah, you could guess, right?
Yeah.
Who's attacking me? I don't know.
No, data's been at the core of everything, obviously, for quite some time. But what we're really excited about this week is the launch, or last week, I should say, the GA launch of Security Lake. And the Amazon Security Lake, we've been working with the team for a long time now on being launch partners and coming up with this. And we're one of the very few that are both a source and a subscriber to Security Lake. We are all in on Security Lake itself. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But the biggest reason is we've seen over the years that it's really hard for customers to acquire that data in the first place. So that's usually, months and months of work just to figure out where the data is, how you get it in. And then after that point, we have hundreds of thousands of parsers that we've written over the years. I've been doing this for 10 years. I helped found our XDR at Mandiant, which became FireEye, which became Trellix. So we've actually been at this for over 10 years, and which is a wild thing to say, but it's been really fun to see that Amazon has come up with a way to solve this really hard customer problem, which is how do we get this data in a way that makes sense? And so I'll give you an example. I am on a Slack channel right now that the OCSF team created. So OCSF is the format that is guaranteed to be in Security Lake. It's a big part of this. Yeah. And there are hundreds of people in the Slack channel, and we're from everywhere. We're from Cloud, we're from competitors of ours, and it's wild to be in a chat room with your competitors all agreeing on something, which is, can we all please stop worrying about what we're naming things and what we're parsing things? Can we all just put it in a place that makes sense, and then we'll do our magic from there. And so that's what I'm really excited about, having been doing this so long, is that we can really start to solve the customer problems. We can get into it and we can say, all right, we're finally going to skip to the good part all the way at the back. Let's just skip through all the commercials, get to the end, right? And that's what we're trying to do, is take all the hard part out of it. So it's been really great working with the Security Lake team on what this means for the industry as a stake in the ground.
Yeah. So tell us what that means. You said you all getting together. Basically, you're not in a room, you're in a virtual room, but you're talking about the customer and the problem. Tell us a little bit about the problem.
So the problem is, how do you describe these events? And we've finally come up with a convention for how you do that crosses all these different places that generate the events in the first place. So that's the initially exciting part. So, okay, great, we've solved that problem. Now we can all go home, right? No. This is when the fun part starts. So this is when we actually get to do something. Now that we have all the data in one place like that. And so this is where I have personally found just such joy working in this in the last number of months as we get into AI. And so that's been a buzzword for a long time. I remember in 2016, I did a B-Sides talk on practical security analytics. And the spoiler alert was, it's all just statistics, guys. You don't need machine learning, which essentially was true. So prior to joining up with Mandy and FireEye at Trellix, I ran a security operations center for 7 years, did a ton of incident response. And so my thought is always, just like with you guys at Amazon, is always about the customer and what do they need. At the end of the day, are we finding bad guys, yes or no? Right, and so when I did that thing about security analytics back in 2016, I don't feel like we got there. We found some interesting stuff. We'd be able to flag things that were, oh yeah, that's kind of weird, but it didn't change anybody's life. And now with LLMs, things are different. And I'll give you an example. If you ask modern LLMs, and when I say modern, it changes every week. So an LLM from last month, you could say, what is a password spray attack? And it'll say, oh, it's when you try the same password against a whole bunch of different usernames. And then you could say, what should you look for next? And it would say, oh yeah, you want to look for a successful login to this. This has never happened before. And so this is what we're pulling in now at Trellix, and we're able to take that and ask questions of it. And so about 8 years ago, we started to put in something we call investigative tips, which is where we write the entire investigation that goes with any rule that fires. And so it was pretty novel at the time. Some of our competitors just announced something similar now, 8 years later. This is coming together with this whole LLM story to create something truly new, because now we can take these investigative tips and we say, okay, so we have all the data in one place, thanks to our parsing and Security Lake and all this stuff, and then we can take the investigative tips and ask questions of that data.
Right.
Now we can turn around and say, hey, robot that knows what a password spray attack is, we've collected all this stuff. Was this a password spray attack?
Do you see anything here?
Was it successful? What should we do next? And my personal favorite is, in our preview, what Star Wars villain would you assign to this alert? And I thought it was really funny when I put it in, and I put it in with the mindset of someone who worked a lot of incidents, was in a security operations center for a long time, and I thought, what would keep me actually looking at the screen for 8 hours a day? And it's like, yeah, you want to throw a little fun in there.
Yeah.
And so some of our MDR partners that we work with, I expected them to be like, haha, okay, now let's get to business. They're like, no, this is great. Well, what else can you do? I thought, well, sports figures, we could do mountains, we could do whatever. So we could let the customer choose whatever mascot they want to assign the incident. And all of that is a fun way to say we can actually fundamentally understand what has occurred. But you can only do that if you have all the data in the first place, you have it in a way that makes sense, and then you have the entire investigation to go in. Because at the end of the day, what you really need are questions. The answers are all there, but you have to ask the right questions. And that's true of not just the data itself, but when we talk about LLMs and AI in general, it becomes, we call it prompts, but it's about questions.
Right.
Can you ask the right question?
Prompt engineering, yeah. So Martin, I gotta take you back a little bit here. I'm no stranger to the security world. I spent a little time at a company called Tenable. They're known for Nessus, right?
Sure.
So I've done a lot of vulnerability scanning. It generates a lot of data, right? We're talking about, and you very, very succinctly highlighted that there wasn't a standardized format for the data getting generated by all these different, security approaches that you're taking.
Yeah.
You mentioned these parsers from Trellix. What are you parsing? Like, what are you looking at? Are you looking at, Active Directory? Like, what types of telemetry are you gathering at Trellix?
Everything.
Everything.
So Tenable's a great partner of ours.
Oh, nice.
We actually have asset integration with them. So we'll reach out to Tenable and bring in their assets, and then we can run things like AI scoring against that, and then we can turn around and give Tenable those same assets. So a customer that has both does really well that way because they get the best of both worlds. Same with, we have over 120 different direct connections like that, plus 1,000 total integrations that we do if you include all the parsers as well.
Yeah.
And then we do a ton of custom parsers for customers that need it. But that's not the fun part, as I said. It's
right.
the part where, okay, now that we have the data, we can do something with it.
Yeah.
So the asset scoring, being able to put that in. So now you can imagine that we can turn around and say, oh, by the way, AI, this asset had this score on it. Does that affect the outcome here?
Right.
And it could do that. So one of the things that we learned early on with the SolarWinds attack that we successfully found,
right.
and we were the only ones that found that. Yeah. It happened to us. But we found it right away.
Right.
And the reason that we found it was we had a really great crew that knew to look at some low-level alerts there. And because they were experts, they said, oh, this is actually bad. It's marked low, but I know with my experience that this is something.
This could be more than what it is. Yeah.
That's how we found it.
Yeah.
So imagine that every single alert has that kind of attention put on it. That's what we're building out with this AI.
One of the hardest things in security is alert fatigue and actually assigning the right priority to things that are ongoing, right? Like you're going to get inundated with stuff. You're going to see like, oh, this is vulnerable. This is vulnerable.
Right.
Like, you have to pick and choose and say, oh, no, we're going to look at this one because of the priority.
Yeah.
So that's what you're saying. Trellix can help you assess.
That's right. I call it the needle in the needle problem. It's not a haystack.
No, it's all needles.
There's also a haystack, but you already found the needle, and then you have a pile of needles. You say, which is the sharpest needle that I care about?
Yeah.
So
awesome. So Martin, I think we're getting the cue here that it might be time to wrap. So tell us, where do you want people to go to find Trellix, and what do you want them to do next?
Sure. So you go to Trellix.com, see us there. We're on AWS Marketplace in a lot of different areas. It's a great place to start.
Very nice. Yeah. Cool. So before we wrap, anything you want to tell anybody that just has never heard of Trellix before? It's just like the short elevator pitch to walk away.
Yes. It's you forget when you work at Trellix that a lot of people still haven't heard of you.
Sure.
But they've definitely heard of McAfee, and they've almost definitely heard of FireEye. And so we are all those two things put together, plus a lot of love. So we are very proud to be something new, something even better than both of those put together, which is Trellix.
All right.
Nice.
Go check it out on the AWS Marketplace, and we'll be back with more from Inforce in just a few minutes.